Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over my final thoughts on the LS 500, and then we're going to also go over all the things that I like and the things that I don't exactly like about the car. And so with all that being said, let's get into the video. Now let's start things off with the front end of the car, and this is where I think Lexus nailed it. It looks amazing stylistically, definitely has good presence, and yeah, I don't know, I think it's perfect. And this red color just really accents the body lines. The lights look fantastic. All of the accent looks fantastic. Just, I mean, everywhere it looks great. The one thing I will mention though is all of this high gloss trim is kind of difficult to keep clean looking, but it's honestly not too bad. And I mean, if you're buying this car, someone else is probably going to clean it for you anyways. I guess the one downside I will say about the front end of this car is it looks so similar to the other cars within Lexus's lineup. It doesn't really differentiate itself too much. I mean, it's bigger, but like to a person that's not a car person, they can't really tell the difference. And so I guess that's a slight downside to the front end of the LS 500, is it looks just like, you know, an ES front end pretty much, or an IS front end, right? There are differences, obviously, if you're a car person, but if you're not a car person, it's harder to spot them. Now coming to the side, absolutely love the tire and wheel setup. A lot of cars in this segment will go for massive wheels, like, you know, 22-inch wheels. This has 20s, which I still think look great, especially considering the coloration on them. And also it rides smoother because of that, because you're able to fit a little bit more tire because you have these smaller sized wheels, which 20s are still massive. I mean, come on. And then as for the rest of the side, I think it looks pretty good from a stylistic perspective, but this car is definitely large, which, I mean, that's what this car's all about, right? Being able to take around a bunch of people and do it in a comfortable manner. But definitely kind of looks funny with how big it is. It's definitely interesting. And then I also like this small design detail with the mirror and how it kind of like is dissected with the chrome. And then also how they did the black trim with the sunroof so that it looks like it's just all blacked out. Because a lot of people, including me, will like black out the roofs, and well, Lexus did it for us. And yeah, now coming to the back, this is where I'm not as in love with the styling. I think it looks okay, but like, I think like the new IS, for example, or the new RC, I think they look better from a stylistic perspective. And then opening up the trunk, this is another thing that I really like, is just the storage space is absolutely massive here in the trunk area. And then also the fact that it's automated, I think is pretty cool. You don't see that with a bunch of sedans. And then the last thing that I guess I have to complain about, and this is just every single Lexus and Toyota, is the remote start systems. So to remote start it, you have to press the lock button like a couple times, and then you have to hold it down, and you have to wait, and then it'll do it. And it's pretty good with doing it. Like, it does it most of the time, but I wish they just had like a remote start button. Like every other car manufacturer has like their own separate button, and this one doesn't. So I wish they did. Now, going from that to the interior here, I love the interior materials, but something I do want to mention, and you know, obviously you can get the interiors in different colors, so I kind of would recommend that. The black is kind of bland, I will say that. Now, design-wise, it looks pretty good, but typically when I get like these nicer luxury cars, I'll get an opinion actually from my mom, because she actually has a pretty good eye for design. And the thing that she mentioned to me about this car is, she goes, oh, the materials are really nice, but like nothing really pops out to me, and it kind of feels like a little bit on the bland side. So I wish they kind of like, you know, even with this black interior, maybe they did a little bit more with the coloration so it popped out a little bit more. But materials are top notch. Like everything, you can tell build quality wise is fantastic. Like all of it looks amazing. And then also, this is a huge plus, legroom is great. One downside though, headroom on the other side. On the other hand, like I'm 6 foot, and I mean, if you were probably like about 6'1", 6'2", you're pretty much touching the top. So yeah, that's definitely a downside. And then also the fact you get vents here in the rear, that is an upside. The one thing I will mention though is I don't notice any like heated seats or anything, and a lot of cars in this segment will have heated seats, sometimes even cooled seats. So I guess that's a little bit of a downside, but it is cool that you can move that seat and, you know, kind of flex on that person, because, well, this is the most important seat in the car. And then also the sunshade definitely, I think, is another huge positive. And yeah, overall, I think it's great. Now, also, I forgot to mention, the speaker in the back looks fantastic. Like, that is a huge plus. Popping to the front, however, this is, I guess, a little bit of a complaint. It just looks normal. Like, it's crazy. You have that speaker in the back that looks fantastic, and this, not so much. And then, obviously, I really like, again, the material use everywhere. Like, everything is soft touch. Even down here, it's, like, all really nice materials. So Lexus nailed it from a material standpoint. And then the front seats, I love these seats. Super comfortable, look fantastic. like, yeah, there's no negatives there. And then popping in, the design here in the front looks a lot better than what you get in the rear with certain points. Like this looks great across with the venting, and we'll actually start her up. And then small complaint, I wish that they had like leather on the steering wheel. A lot of cars again in this segment now will have like with the airbag cover, they'll have leather and stitching, and this doesn't. So I think Lexus needs to just add that. Pretty simple, and I guess someone's trying to call me, so we're gonna turn that off. But anyways, continuing back to the video, notice we got paddle shifters here on the back, and then coming here to the gauge cluster, this is something I really like. So notice with the drive modes how it changes, and I mean a lot of Lexuses have that, but I don't know, I always think it's cool. And I'll actually shut the door so that I can show you guys something else. The fact that it moves side to side, I think that is really cool. Now, the heads-up display, it's cool that it has one, but I've actually, and sorry it's not popping, but I've actually turned it off because it was kind of making me motion sick a little bit. And so yeah, it's cool that it has heads-up display, but I personally am not using it because I don't know, it was just kind of messing with me. Coming here to the infotainment system, another small complaint, I wish that it had more cameras. Like, you just get a backup camera, you don't get a front camera, you don't get like side cameras or anything, just the backup camera. Infotainment system I think is a huge plus. Response time on it is fantastic, and then there's different ways to control it. There's a keypad, but then you can also, you know, do it as a touchscreen, and yeah, just overall really good system. And then also I love Lexus's climate control system because you have automatic climate controls and automatic seats. So basically you just get in the car and it does everything for you. You don't have to press any buttons. It's super nice. Like, I absolutely love that about the cars. It just makes it so much more comfortable. But I guess the one thing that I will mention, since we're talking about seats, is it doesn't have any massaging seats. I think that it's a little bit of an oversight, right? It's a luxury car, and so usually you want massaging seats. Center console, this is cool. So it's hinged both ways, so it can open up both ways. I think that is a pretty cool little piece of engineering. And then also small details like this where they can make the stitching connect. I think that that is great. I love the look of the mirrors. They're like the same mirrors as you get in the LC500. Blind spot monitoring, and I guess we'll talk about safety tech. The adaptive cruise control, really good. Lane keep assist, steering assist, it has all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no complaints there. I love how they have obviously the premium headliner, all that. This comes with this F Sport package. The dual sunroof situation, pretty cool. The mirrors at the top, I think that's kind of funny, a little bit gimmicky. The sound system, the Mark Levinson sound system, fantastic, really nice surround sound quality, really good sound system. You guys always ask about the sound systems, and this one definitely is really solid, I would say. So they've nailed it from a sound system perspective. But yeah, I mean, super nice interior. Again, I wish there was just like more of stuff like this. I wish there was a little bit more of that through the interior to kind of like break up the sea of black. And then we will finish things up with, of course, going under the hood, because, well, we always got to talk about the engines. And popping under the hood, you guys know this has the twin turbo 3.5 liter V6. I love the engine. The piped in audio in the Sport Plus mode, kind of funny, but overall it's a great engine. Does really good at elevation here. We're at about 4,500 feet. And yeah, I don't really have any complaints about this engine. It's got good low end torque. It definitely gets the car up and moves it. Sounds pretty good in that Sport Plus mode when they pipe in the audio. I don't care that it's piped in. Like, if it sounds good, it sounds good. But yeah, it's a really good engine. Gets good fuel economy for being such a big sedan. And so again, yeah, I don't have anything negative to say. And the 10-speed automatic is also great. It's responsive, but then when it needs to be smooth, it's also smooth. I guess that it'd be cool if they showed us more, because like literally everything is covered up in plastic. So I guess it is what it is. But yeah, overall, you know, let's kind of just give my final thoughts. Now, to kind of sum things up and give my final thoughts here on the LS 500. Overall, I think it's a pretty good looking car. I do think that Lexus does need to slightly differentiate it from the rest of the lineup stylistically. There are some different cues, but I think they kind of just, again, need to do a little bit more so people know that this is like their flagship luxury sedan. And then on top of that, right, I wish I had a few more features that some of the competition has. And I think that Genesis, for example, is really showing this in this kind of segment now, where they're offering a ton of equipment at a pretty reasonable price point. Now, I will say, the build quality on this is significantly nicer than what you get with a Genesis. Like, it's a night and day difference. Like, Toyota and Lexus, they really know how to build cars, so you do feel that just with how everything feels control-wise. And just, I mean, trust me, go and drive a Genesis and then go and drive this, and you'll understand what I'm talking about from a build quality perspective. But aside from that, I think the price is pretty reasonable. This one stickers for just under $90,000, which for a full-size luxury sedan really isn't all that crazy nowadays. Most of them are in excess of 6 figures, so I think that is pretty reasonable. And yeah, like I said, I think it's great. The fact that it has all-wheel drive, I think, is a huge plus, so you could drive this year-round in a place like Utah, where I live, obviously, where it snows half of the year. And yeah, it's a really comfortable car. I think that they've pretty much nailed it. There's just a few little things that I kind of had to nitpick that I think that they should improve. But yeah, other than that, like, this car is it's really well put together. And so if Lexus just goes and tweaks just a couple small things, right? And it's not major things, right? The powertrain's great. How they deliver the power is great as well, right? Having all-wheel drive is great. And the interior materials are great. Just, again, it's small things, but overall, it's a really good package. Now, that's going to sum things up with going over everything I like and the things I don't like, and then kind of my final thoughts on the LS 500. With that being said, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe. I'll see all of you in the next video.